What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Shuggy from Shug Earth Media. Today, we're talking about the Star Trek Picard series finale, and I don't know what I'm going to do without this show, because I've really enjoyed breaking the show down. Let me know in the comment section if you think I should follow the other Star Trek shows that I've phased out of watching, but this season has been something special. Edge of my seat at every episode. I haven't been this in love with the show for quite a while, and it's one of my favorite shows. Next Gen having the perfect cap at the end, saying goodbye to this crew, to this cast, to these characters once and for all. And it does end with a little bit of a cliffhanger, you could say, that could be develop into something later. But honestly, even without that, this is just such a perfect ending. A lot of this episode is an epilogue, and it's just really satisfying. It's very exciting. There's a lot to break into, and it just makes me happy as a fan to see this episode. Of course, we're going to be covering full spoilers for this episode in the review, so be warned, and let me know what you think in the comment section down below. So we're just gonna break right into it. I just gotta say, I love this episode. So there's not really gonna be a lot of nitpicking from your boy Captain Nitpicker here, but the one thing, negative thing I kind of do have to say, and it's not really that negative, is the opening of this episode, because, you know, the end of the last episode, we got the very satisfying revival of the Enterprise. We have to go to an old ship that is not connected to the new network that the Borg has taken over, and all of Starfleet is now the Borg because of all these seeds that they planted over the years and decades have finally led to this moment, but now they need a ship that does not connect to the network. But I just got to say, this first scene here, I do think we could have had a more exciting opening that really snapped us into that action right away. Instead, we're kind of listening to the president of the Federation, a recording or a transmission from him explaining the situation, and it kind of just felt like getting the audience up to speed if you missed a couple episodes or something. But they already did that with the previously, so I don't know. I don't think we needed this scene. I would have rather started with something a little bit more exciting to get the stakes that are at play there, but that's pretty much the only real nitpick I have, other than a few questions I'll bring up later. But it's just so satisfying to be back on the Enterprise, and to just see the ship in all its glory, and the set very faithfully recreated. It's just very satisfying to see, so it's kind of hard to complain about that too much. But we learned that the Borg cube is in Jupiter, hiding in the eye of the storm, so to speak. And that's where the Borg is hiding their ship. Now, I have to wonder, wouldn't the pressure... I understand gas giants, there's a lot of pressure involved, a lot of gravity. Part of me, you know, a nitpicker, of course, but I'm like, wouldn't it, like, collapse in on itself? But, you know, at the end of the day, who really cares, right? So, it's really satisfying to see everybody on this ship, everybody at their stations. The only other small nitpick is just, you know, everybody's fixated on the screen. I think director-wise, I would have wanted to have everybody at their consoles doing something. But, you know, maybe that's less interesting than what's going on screen at that particular time. So I love this image, though. And it continues that kind of cloudy imagery we got at the beginning of the last episode. And picking Jupiter was really smart because of the red door and everything. All the imagery kind of feeds into each other. And I forget who Jupiter is in mythology, but I'm sure there's a connection there. I mean, this writing is just so smart, there has to be a connection there. And it's called The Last Generation. I saw this name on the screen. I was like, oh man, is everybody gonna die? But there's no way, okay? We've been very central to this story has been Starfleet's main mission and the hope that Star Trek is supposed to represent in the sci-fi landscape. So I knew they weren't going to, but I see that name on the screen. It makes you think that they might. And that's exactly what they need at the start of this episode. So we, of course, are back with, on the Titan, the youth of Starfleet. They've all had their DNA changed by the transporters, and now it's the young versus the old. An interesting dynamic. We broke that down last week, and here we got 7 of 9 and Raffi taking back the bridge. Part of me thinks maybe it was a little bit too easy, but we got to get this story moving. The fact that they just were able to walk up to the elevator and just go straight up there. But you know what? I'm fine with that. They have a new invention. And I thought it was brilliant. I was like, wow, they're teleport. I thought at first that the Borg were teleporting their guys away just in time before they got shot. But it's even better than that. They have a teleporter kind of attached to the phaser. So they have a beam me up phaser, 7 of 9 says. Genius concept. I don't think they've ever done that before. Maybe, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not a Star Trek lore expert or anything. I don't have all the episodes memorized. I've seen all of them, but I don't have them memorized. So let me know if that's happened before. But I really love that concept of using the teleporter gun to their advantage, and they lock all of the Borg guys in that teleporter room. Thought that was genius. Really like that concept. And I like the dynamic here that the people that are left are not necessarily the most equipped for their job, and the guy who's the pilot, we'll get back to it later, but the guy who's the pilot is a cook, so I really like that concept as well. Needing to rise above your station to meet the moment. I thought that was a really powerful message here. Now we are outside the Borg cube, and we're trying to isolate where Jack is, because Jack is, of course, the voice. He's the one communicating to the rest of the fleet at this particular moment. So that is where they need to find Jack. And of course, Picard's motivation is that he needs to get to Jack because he's a father and he's there to save his son. So I really like that. There's one line here where Picard says that they need to get him back at any cost, or they need to stop the signal at any cost. And I thought that was implying that they might have to be faced with the choice of sacrificing Jack for the greater good. And I thought that thematically was where they were going with it. But I gotta say, maybe that line was a red herring. Maybe it was intended to make you think that. But they didn't go that route. And I actually think it's better, that they found a better way, But it would have been, I think, interesting to maybe explore that space of Picard at least considering that. But they didn't even go that route. And that wouldn't have been consistent with how they've been characterized in this season, considering he was willing to kill the changeling lady a few episodes ago just because he wanted to save his son. So he was willing to compromise his principles before. It wouldn't really make sense if he was willing to sacrifice him now, although the situation is a lot more dire, so I like that. So we got the Picard, Riker, and Worf going down to the Borg cube. They all agree to go down. And as a Worf fan, I just want to point out that this season he kind of more or less was made into a comic relief character, which I love every line that he gets. It's funny stuff, great jokes. I really love it. But as a Worf fan, I was like, I kind of wanted him to have another storyline or have a little bit more. But at the same time, with this major theme of this season is generations, family, children. He already had that storyline on Next Generation itself. He had a storyline with his son and everything. And it kind of would have been a little bit redundant to delve into that again. So I can see why they didn't want to go that route. But yeah, and he's such a stoic guy. You're not going to have this emotional storyline with a character like that. So at the end of the day, I accept it. It makes sense to me. But yeah, there's a little bit of yearning for me as a Worf fan. But you know what? I'm perfectly happy with how it turned out because he always has the funny lines, and I feel like it's not making fun of him. It's just, continuing that whole fish out of water, tough guy attitude that's very true to the character. So I don't have an issue with it, and they did evolve him a little bit, incorporating some stuff from Deanna here, and we covered that, in a few episodes ago when he has that big speech about it. So I think that they did a good job with him, is what I'm saying. So a little bit of yearning, but it's not a nitpick because I like how it turned out. So, but his line here was, I'll make it a threesome. That was pretty funny, very silly. That was the silliest of his lines, I think, in this episode. And maybe this season in general. So it was a little bit almost too far, but it was good. So they're beamed down to the deck. And here we are on the Borg ship. Amazing set. The lighting is very creepy and spooky. We had a close-up on a skeleton there. That was really cool. So, I love these sets, and it sets the tone perfectly. It's definitely reminiscent of the old one, but I feel like it's a step up almost. It's an upgrade, with the modern technology and everything. I think they did a great job with this set, is what I'm saying. So here we got a great moment where Picard is kind of saying his goodbyes. He's saying, I can't be your captain anymore, because he's got to prioritize his fatherhood. And he kind of gives his blessing to Riker to do the right thing, to find the signal and take care of everything, while Picard's got to go do his thing. So I thought this was a beautiful moment. And basically he knows that this could be it for them. So he says it's been an honor. Actually, he said that before he left the ship, the Enterprise, to begin with. So I really like that. And then Worf's line here, he did have a serious line that wasn't a joke. And he said that the one or two things that Klingons don't know how to say is defeat, or they don't admit defeat, and they don't say farewell. So, that's very consistent as well. And that was a beautiful line, I gotta say. And Worf does have another moment with Raffi later. So there's some more serious stuff. So there we go. I'm wrong. I proved myself wrong in my own review. You love to see it. So here we got the big confrontation. Jack's right there. And I like that we had a reveal in the previous scene that Picard has some leftover memories from Locutus. And considering his DNA was changed by the experience, even though he's a robot now, which I'm a little bit confused on how, but we'll set that aside. How the memories are still there, even though he's in a different body, whatever. Anyways, I like that he has residual memories of the Borg cube, and he knows where to go. And they ask him, well, like, how do you know that? But he just knows. And he is meeting the Borg Queen. And wow, I love these effects, man. Love what they did with the Borg Queen. It's like this creepy skeletal thing. It looks ancient, but simultaneously looks like this digital amalgamation. It looks like a reanimated corpse in a way, kind of a zombie. And familiar voice, so I'm assuming it's the same voice from earlier, but I didn't double check, actually. Maybe it's not the same voice from Next Gen, but I thought it was really great. And I mentioned earlier I think I forgot to mention it in my last review, that I like the reveal that I forget Jack's name, but he has the name that he is the voice, Vox, right? Yeah, it was the name of the last episode, Vox. That's Jack's Borg name. And Locutus means the man who speaks, or something like that. And Vox is the voice. So that's the next evolution, and he's even more important. So we'll get back to that later. So we've taken over the bridge, and now we are talking to this guy is our pilot. He was reluctant. Even though he has the training, he has never actually done it, so he's hesitant. And I think that makes it feel especially dire. And I like that we kind of have a normie type of guy in this position to really give it that gravitas. We have one character in the room who's not, who has doubts, and it doesn't feel comfortable with what's going on. And I think that really sets up 7 of 9 for an epic speech here, which was definitely satisfying to see. So we'll get back to that later. But I really like the confrontation here with the Borg. And, I like how the Queen mentions that Jack has the similar feeling of loneliness and the starvation, in a way, that the Borg had when they were defeated by Starfleet and left on their own, and how they kind of bonded with the Changelings for the same reason. So, again, bringing those themes all back together. It's all about connection, family, and then evolution. And then she says a great line that the future of the Borg is not assimilation, but evolution, and these new Borg are the future. So I think that's a nice extension of the Borg concept. And man, just great acting and just a really cool prop. I don't know, I'm pretty sure it's mostly CGI, but I don't know how they did it. Well, however they did it, it looks good. I don't care. So here we get an action scene. We find where the signal is placed. Of course, Picard mentions before they even board the cube that this was an invitation. That they were they kept the defenses of the cube low because they wanted Picard to come here to witness this. Now, I don't know if that's just kind of a revenge thing, which I don't know that the Borg really feel the need for revenge like that. So part of me kind of questions that a little bit. And you would think that they would do a little bit better of a job protecting the signal. But, those are such small nitpicks that, it's not even really worth dwelling on. So now we have the young Borg taking over the assimilated on the Titan, pounding at the door of the transporter room, breaking out, and it's very zombie-like. I like how they're like drones, and the veins, so you can tell them apart, while they still retain their original looks. I think it was really smart from a production design standpoint. They don't need little bits of technology over their face. They just have these vein things going on. And that's intercut with an action scene with Worf. Worf finally gets an action scene. Basically, he's kind of been stabbing people in the back the whole season, and that's one nitpick I heard from some other YouTube channels, that Worf is always stabbing people in the back this season, and that's not really how the Klingons do things. But I'm pretty sure from a logistical standpoint, they're doing it simply because the actor Michael Dorn is getting up there in years, and he can't really do all the stunts that he used to. And even in this scene here, pretty much all the shots from behind, I'm pretty sure, not 100%, but most likely it's a stunt double doing it. So, he has minimal actual shots in this fight scene here. So just wanted to throw that in here. That's not me complaining about it or saying it's bad. That's just pointing out what I think is obvious about it. So I just think it's interesting to think about. This is the type of stuff I think about because, I used to work in films and stuff like that. So then we have an action scene, and we got Worf swinging his sword around, which was fun. And we got the Enterprise getting shot at. So we got a lot of great stuff simultaneously going on here. And I really like this part where Beverly, I was like thinking on while I was watching this, I was like, Beverly's doing what on the bridge? I mean, she's a doctor. What is she doing? But we did get the scenes earlier of her shooting phasers and stuff, so it makes sense. There's been a lot of time. She's been in a lot of sketchy situations. She's had to defend herself before, so now she's the one firing the missiles. So I thought that was pretty great, satisfying to see. So we're finally simultaneously getting a lot of action scenes back to back, and I think that was fun with Beverly dropping the bombs. I really enjoyed that. And here we got a scene where Data realizes that there's a very circuitous path that they have to navigate to get to the center of the Borg cube. And it made me think of Star Wars, the first one, the A New Hope, that is, where, it's this one flaw in the ship. So they got to get to the core, but it's not an easy path. But they don't have the Force in this universe, so what do they have? They got a confident Data. A Data who is changed now, and I've been really enjoying the combination of Data and lore in this new character, and he's got human feelings now. So it's Data plus lore plus feelings, and he's going with his gut, so instinct that he didn't have before, whereas before he was calculating probability. Now he has a gut feeling that he can do it. So I think that the human aspect of the character, I think, is really fun. So I like this, this little trip that they have to go on. It does feel a little convenient, right? But it's an evolution of the character. So it works for me because we've been setting that up all along. So it does work for me. And here we got Picard starting to unplug his son from the Borg, and the Queen is like, you're gonna kill him, and that would be kind of interesting if it was a little bit more that it definitely comes off that she's just trying to persuade him that, and that's not actually the case. I think it would be kind of interesting if Picard maybe considered that might be the case, but again, there's so much happening in this episode, you can't really dwell on any one particular thing for too long. So we navigated to the center of the cube. I really liked they saved their effects budget for that journey to the center, and it was really satisfying to watch. Going navigating through this very narrow path. Again, I'm thinking of the Death Star and all that, but it was a lot of fun to see that. And we're going to get back to it later, but Deanna has a really great moment in this episode as well coming up. So Picard decides he's going to plug himself in to the Matrix, the Borg, and I thought it was really brilliant because here he is unplugging his son, and I'm thinking back to, was it last week or 2 weeks ago, where we had the Data situation, where Data versus Lore inside his mind. I was like, we really need a scene like that, where they can connect, and that's exactly what happens, so maybe a little bit predictable, but this is like the heart of this whole season, is this scene right here, and the payoff was so great and very well earned, and basically it's connecting Picard and Jack in their struggle, basically being different extensions of the same thing. Jack's felt lost, he hasn't had the connection that he needs, and in this moment, he feels like the Borg can fill that void. But Picard goes through how he had a similar void in him, and he tried to fill it with Starfleet, and it worked for a while. But then after Starfleet, when he was on the Vineyard, he felt like something was missing still. And then he realizes that his son having family, real family, that's what he needed, and that Jack was what filled the void for him, and Jack realizes that the same thing is true for him in terms of needing that fatherly connection. So I thought that was really brilliant, and at some point here, I think in the previous scene that we passed up, but at some point we realized that if we blow up the core, the whole ship is going to explode, everybody in there is going to die, and that's kind of where we're setting up. And, in the back of my mind, I'm like, of course they're not going to kill off everybody, right? But there's still the possibility that they could, because it's the finale. So it's still exciting. And, I like Worf and Riker. They decide that even though they could beam out, they are going to go back for Picard and Jack. So, and this emotional release feels very satisfying. The only thing, nitpick, again, but in previous episodes, we had Jack kind of getting emotional and crying. I feel like if he didn't cry until this moment, there would be even more, So, but that's a nitpick because, I still was getting emotional at this scene. And this was Jack's basically flashing back to all the moments this season that he should have realized that he has a family that cares about him. And I forgot to mention it before, but when Picard plugs himself into the Matrix, more or less, for lack of a better word, he flashed back to episodes from Next Gen. I thought that using that footage was really smart. We had this really cool kaleidoscope imagery. I like how they did it. The execution was excellent. So I was a big fan. And then he finally wakes up, and it feels earned. It doesn't feel convenient. It feels like they've been setting this up all season. So it really paid off for me personally. I really liked how all that worked out. And now we got a final moment with Riker. And this was something I didn't think that they were going to do. And I'm really happy that they did it. So Riker has basically accepted his fate. And I love that Worf right before is just like, it's a great day to die, because that's what Klingons do. So I love that. He loves dying in battle. He wants to do that. He doesn't want to die of old age. So I really like that. But, and then we cut to Riker, and he says that he'll be waiting for Deanna with his son. Basically, if you didn't catch it, earlier this season, when they thought they were going to die before, Riker said that he's never seen anything in the universe that has proved an afterlife to him. So, in this moment, with what he said there, reaching out, and we know Deanna can feel it. We see it in the next scene, but even before that, we know she can feel this, because it's so powerful to her, especially that connection, that bond that they have. That is him acknowledging that he is basically taking a step of faith. He's a leap of faith, you would say. He's in this moment accepting that he's going to be waiting in the afterlife. So it's basically following up. It's a callback to when he said he didn't see anything that proved an afterlife to him, and now he is just taking it on faith. So I love this episode so much. It's just so satisfying because the answer is love, family, and faith, and that is what connects everything together. And and it doesn't even have to be faith in the afterlife if you don't believe in that, but just like faith in each other, and it's so beautiful. And then instantly Deanna knows where they are because she has those connection abilities. She's able to kind of echolocate with her emotions. So love and faith is the answer, and that's the kind of the conclusion. I feel like that's what this season is trying to say, and I really it means a lot to me. So yeah, I really love the ending here. Very satisfying. Watching it all explode, of course, and them getting beamed out just in time, and then just in the nick of time, Sydney and the rest of the assimilated young folks all revert back to their normal selves. So that was it's just such a satisfying earned ending. I'm definitely the type of guy who a long time ago, I would have crapped on happy endings. It doesn't feel true to life, yada yada. But now the pendulum has swung so far the other way, where everything's just like grim, dark, and depressing, and all that. We need this. I need this. I needed this happy ending, man. I needed this season, and they really took us to some dark places, and they took us out of it with hope. They led with hope more than anything. So yeah, it's seeing everybody come back together again at the end. It just feels earned. It feels earned. They did the work to make it satisfying. If it was just one episode, one standalone storyline, happy ending, it's kind of hard to make it feel as earned. Whereas one long story across 10 episodes, by the time you reach the end of it, we deserve it. So I can't wait to rewatch this season again, guys. So here we get an epilogue of how they fixed everything. And they call it Stardate 1 because it's a new day. And here in one scene, very efficiently, we show a lot of stuff. So we show Beverly figured out how to undo the DNA changes that the Borg used to make all this possible. And she has also been promoted to Admiral, and she's now in charge of the medical side of things. So, and they also implement stuff that can detect changelings. So there's a changeling left over in the transporter, and he gets caught in this scene. So that's great. One thing I forgot to mention earlier, and I'm just going to throw it in here because I just thought of it now. We had the cloaking device being used in that scene where the Titan is on the run and they're doing the runs, they're shooting the fleet, very exciting stuff. But it's just a nitpick again. But I don't understand how the cloaking, it's a line of sight thing, which I suppose is why they needed to do it on Frontier Day. But it just seems like, are they really all that interconnected if they can just cloak or go where they can't be seen and then they're not together anymore? I don't know. That whole thing, it felt a little slim to me. So that was one part of the science fiction side of things that I would maybe nitpick. And if I was smarter, I would be able to phrase it better. But I think you guys know what I mean. Anyways, we cut to Tuvok, the real one, because we saw him as a changeling before. And in this scene, they say that all of the victims of the changelings were left alive, and I'm just wondering why. I'm okay with it. I just don't understand strategically they were driven by hatred, right? They wanted to exterminate Starfleet forever, unless they think that they could use them for some sort of purpose later down the line. It's a kind of similar thing to why did they leave Riker alive? I mean, I guess it makes sense if we're going to have Riker and Deanna left alive after they have gotten what they need out of them. Logistically speaking, I feel like they would have just killed them, or that would make the most sense for them to do. But they're not around to explain why they left people alive. So I don't know. I don't know. I'm happy with it. I'm just saying it's worth questioning. But we get another very satisfying scene here with Seven of Nine and Tuvok, and she's basically being they make you think that she's about to be court-martialed for, of course, going against orders. And here we got Captain Shaw appearing in this final episode. You know, he died in the last episode. Very tragic ending. I think that's probably the saddest part of the season. I really grew to like this character. He's an antagonist to start, and then he has that whole arc, and then you realize that he was right the whole time. But here he is giving his last word on Seven of Nine, and even in this little recording here, he calls her Hanson, but he does say more accurately she's Seven of Nine. So he did accept that she was Seven of Nine before he actually said it to her. So that was nice to see. But then he also says some really nice things about what she was able to do. She doesn't care about protocol, but she's brave and she's loyal. And maybe the rules that she breaks were, what was the phrase? He didn't say made to be broken. He said maybe the rules were broken to begin with. So I like that. You know, part of me feels like Starfleet, you know, you want to go by the book. But at the same point, if they went by the book completely, none of this, they wouldn't have been able to save humanity. So, you know, it's a give and a take. But yeah, I really like, I like this scene a lot. It's really satisfying. So here we got Raffi, and you know, I didn't watch season 2 and only a couple episodes of season 1, so I don't really know much about this character. But we had they explained to us, you know, that she was separated from her family because of her drug addiction and stuff, and her obsession with her spy work. So it is satisfying. They give her a happy ending too, where her son wants her to meet his daughter, her granddaughter, and the reason why is because there were leaks about what her classified spy work. And it's heavily hinted at, I'm pretty sure, pretty much confirmed in this scene, that Worf was the one who did it. And they have a bond, and they have a hug and stuff. And, you know, the hug with Worf feels awkward. But at the same time, again, we've done the work to set up that he has changed a little bit. So, you know, I like that. And I like his lines about how he's never cried and stuff like that. So all that was great. And then we got a satisfying scene here with Data kind of dealing with becoming human again. And he's overstaying his welcome in this therapy session, and Deanna's planning her vacation simultaneously. So I really like that. But yeah, he's saying, Data says that being human is almost as hard as wanting to be human, or is equally as hard. So, you know, I think it's really fun to see Data navigate that. And Deanna communicating non-verbally with Riker was funny to see too. So, and then a year later, we are decommissioning the Enterprise once again. Now, a part of me is just like, why did it take a year when they had done this right away? Nitpick. But it's your boy after all, you know, that's what we do here. We nitpick a little bit. I guess I lied when I said that the first nitpick was the only one. But hey, you know what? That's what I do, okay? I'm still giving this episode very high score, okay? So now we are with the Picard family, I guess you could say. We got Beverly and Jack and Picard, and Jack has got a new position. He's in Starfleet now, and the Titan has been renamed the Enterprise. Now, based on the lead up, I thought, and just the fact that the show is called Picard, I thought that they were going to name it the USS Picard. And I'm kind of torn if I would have liked that better. I mean, calling it the Enterprise makes perfect sense too. Bringing that back, you know, again, evolution and the new generation. And Jack has the line that names are everything. So maybe it is for the best, but, you know, I would have also been happy if they called it the USS Picard. But, you know, is this the 5th Enterprise now? I don't know. I've lost track of how many there are. But I do like that it's called the Enterprise at the end of the day. And it kind of feels like maybe we're trying to set up a potential spin-off here with 7 of 9 as the captain. And number 1 is Raffi. And, you know, I like that they gave her a new hairstyle to show that time has passed. Although everybody else looks the same. So, but it is only a year, you know. But at the same time, you know, the question of what is Jack's position going to be is kind of fun, and he's special counselor. I don't know what that means exactly, because we know what it means for Deanna with the Betazoid powers and the advice that she gives, but I'm not sure what that means for Jack. So I'm a little confused what the future of Jack could be. But I'd be down for a spinoff. I'd be down to watch it. I'm down. And then we get a really fun scene to end it off. We, of course, end with another scene at Guinan's bar. It's kind of weird that she didn't show up, to me anyway, but maybe they couldn't get Whoopi Goldberg to show up, which, I think they had her in a season before, I seem to remember hearing. But anyways, I would have liked to have her show up just to get, because we've been teasing it this whole season, 10 forward, and Guinan, they talk about her, but she's not here. So, but that's okay, honestly, and again, another nitpick, and, it's a logistical thing, I understand it. So, and here we're playing a poker game to end everything, which is perfect ending. I think is that how they ended the final episode of Next Gen? It's perfect. They have to have this scene. And it's very satisfying for fans to see. And of course, we've mentioned this before, that it was one of Data's memories that meant so much to him. And, just watching the scene, you're thinking like, yeah, the moments like these where you spend time with your friends and family, that really, these are the memories that people cherish the most, even more than like the big events in their life. It's these little things that matter the most. So I love ending on that, especially with the whole love and faith and family is the answer. So I love it. And it was fun to see Worf get mad. He was like, I fold, and gets angry, and we hold on this, and it's fun. We spin around the table. Absolutely perfect. And then we get a post-credit scene, which I knew they were going to do something, but I didn't know what it was. And here we are with Jack, setting up his quarters, putting up the pictures that meant so much to him. And then Q shows up. Okay? And Q, again, I don't remember from earlier seasons. I read about it, but I don't remember what he did in previous seasons. I remember he showed up in the trailer and whatnot. But anyways, he apparently told Picard that humanity's trial is over, but now we're kind of retconning that to mean that it only applied to Picard's journey. And now Jack's journey is just beginning. So setting up a potential spinoff, I think Terry Matalas kind of saying, hey, you guys want to let me do my own thing a little bit? And I say let him. Let him do whatever he wants. He earned it with this season. And I said it in the headline. I think I mean it. Is this the best season of Star Trek ever? It's the most satisfying for me, because it all came to a head, and just after so long after the original series, and I'd given up on Star Trek, I'll be honest. With Discovery and earlier seasons of Picard, I didn't like it. I love this season. And I'm willing to give new Star Trek shows a shot now. And I never thought I'd see the day, and I was edge of my seat every episode. In my feels, every episode. It's just so satisfying. All my nitpicks along the way, I'm not going to remember these things, They're fun to say in a review, but, it's fun to nitpick. We're nitpicking nerds. That's why we love Star Trek, you know what I mean? But you can nitpick the hell out of the original series as well. The stuff, there's inconsistencies all around. And that's part of what brings fandom together. So I'm so happy how this season turned out. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Hit me with the like if you like this review. And let me know if you think I should cover other Star Trek shows in the future. And wow, this review is almost 40 minutes long. Probably the longest review that I've ever done on this channel, other than my comic review. But anyways, I hope to see you guys in future videos. I'm going to cover Stargate when they're supposedly going to announce a new show soon, or movie. I'm here for that. I'm a Stargate fan as well, so we're going to review that. I do horror stuff. We do Walking Dead reviews. We did Last of Us reviews. We do some video game stuff with Resident Evil. Whatever, if you're interested in any of that, or even Star Trek, or I hope to see you in future videos. But if not, I thank you for checking this video out and hanging out with me while we discuss this review. And I hope to see your opinions in the comment section down below. And with that, it's been your boy Shuggy. Live long and prosper, boys. Engage. See you guys later.